In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how to value your company before you sell it. And trust me, number 5, it's going to surprise you. Before I get into these 5 tips on valuing your small business, I want to ask you to click the little bell wherever that is, because then you're never going to miss a video because you're going to subscribe and get notifications for it. So make sure you do that so you don't miss a single video that we release. We do it every single week, and I know that you want to grow your business. All right, first tip for valuing your business. We want to look at the last 3 years of net income outside of you. So I work with a lot of counselors, therapists, chiropractors, massage therapists, and they say, yeah, we're bringing in multi-6 figures. But the reality is that oftentimes it's based on the income of the person that owns it. Now, ideally, when you sell a business, you're not in the business anymore. And so if you leave, that income leaves also. So we want to make sure that we're looking at the net income outside of your own time. So say you have 5 clinicians that are each charging, say, $100 per session. And they're doing all that work, they're working 48 some weeks a year, we're gonna then base it on that income. All right, I'm gonna grab my calculator real quick. There we go. All right, so let's do some math here. And you can do it with me if you'd like. So say that you have 5 clinicians and they're charging $100 per session and they're doing 15 sessions a week and they're working about 48 weeks a year. So that's $360,000. Now, say throughout the year, you have $100,000 in expenses. We subtract $100,000 from that. That means that your net for this year is $260,000. So that's where we want to start. We want to look at the previous 3 years. So most likely, this past year has been the best year that you've had. Usually we're growing and building. And so maybe you're $260,000 this year, maybe the year before the net was $100,000, maybe the year before was $50,000. So then we'd add that $100,000 and then let's add that $50,000. Okay, so that's our base net income for 3 years. Next, we want to look at tangible assets. These are things like computers that would be bought with the business, artwork, furniture, all those things that are tangible assets. And for you, you want to look at the replacement value of these. Even if they're a couple years old, it's going to take a lot to replace all of those. And so being able to say, okay, I bought this couch for $800, I think that couch is worth $600 now. So then when you finally get to that point where you're working with the person that's buying your business, you can choose either they buy all of those things and then they're responsible for moving them and selling them, getting rid of them, or you could have an a la carte menu. It's nice to have a few areas that you can wiggle once you finally get to selling the business. Next, we want to look at digital assets. So digital assets would be things like your website, your social media, your email list. How much would it cost to get your website to the point that it's at right now in regards to how it's ranking, what keywords it's doing well for, all of the backlinks from other businesses. You can use lots of tools that are out there to figure out how many backlinks you have for your website. So yes, maybe a typical website build for you would cost $5,000. But then we also want to look at, well, to rank that high and to hire an SEO expert, maybe your website's actually worth $10,000 or $15,000. That's a digital asset that most people don't look at when they're looking at the end goal of selling their business. Next, we also want to look at social media. If you have a number of followers and you can track all of these things going into your client base, you're better able to say, this is valuable, it's a marketing asset. It would take you thousands of dollars to get to the point that we're at right now. That then becomes another negotiating item. You also have ownership of things like your logo, of the branding, of anything that you've hired someone to build out for you. Assuming you own the rights to all of that, you can sell that as part of the package as well. Next, we want to look at the non-tangible assets. So these are things like your reputation. How long would it take to start from scratch to build this level of reputation? To build the connections that you have, to build the introductions that you're going to do once the new person takes over your business. And so this is something that you can look at. A reputation manager might cost $2,000 to $3,000 to help start a new business. And so if you're looking at locally being connected, that's again something that's of value that most people overlook. So now that we've taken the time to walk through all of these different assets that you have, Tip number 5 is one that most people don't look at, and that's to add 20% to everything. This then gives you a substantial amount of negotiating power when you finally get to the table. Now, of course, with your actual net income, that's not something that you can add 20% to, but you want to have the overall package be about 20% higher than what the actual value is for you. This then gives you a lot of wiggle room when you finally get to the negotiating table with the potential buyer. If you're looking for more tips like this around growing your business, building your practice, getting to that next level, I'd love for you to go over to practiceofthepractice.com. We have a live chat button where we have Jess, our director of details there, answering your questions. So if you're stuck, she'll point you to the right podcast. She'll point you to all sorts of other things. And if you're ready to get started with consulting, our mastermind group, or our done-for-you podcasting services, head on over to practiceofthepractice.com/apply, and then you can apply there, and we'll jump on a phone call and figure out where you're going to get the most return on investment for your time and your money. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon.